The swordsman was then aware that among the rest there was a large demon whose nose was not so very long and whose wings were not so apparent. His robes and headdress were arranged properly, and he sat elevated above the others. This demon said, "What each of you has argued is not without principle. In the past, martial artists were serious. Their resolution was absolutely sincere. They worked soundly on technique and were neither daunted nor lazy. Such men believed what their instructors or even their instructors passed on to them, made great efforts day and night, tested their techniques, spoke with their friends about their doubts, mastered what they studied, and awakened themselves to principles. For this reason, what they acquired penetrated deeply within them. At first, their instructors would teach them techniques, but say nothing of the principles that were hidden within them. They only waited for their students to uncover those principles by themselves. This is called drawing the bow, but not releasing the arrow. And it's not that they spoke grudgingly. They simply wanted the students to use their minds and to master what they were studying in the interval. Disciples would thoroughly exert their minds and make great efforts. If there was something they understood on their own, they would still go and confront the teacher and would acknowledgingly... let me start that again. No, let me not start that again. And it's not that they spoke, grudgingly. It's this, folks, I'm reading. Yeah? They simply wanted the students to use their minds and to master what they were studying in the interval. Disciples would thoroughly exert their minds and make great efforts. If there was something they understood on their own, they would still go and confront the teacher, and he would acknowledge their understanding when their minds were in accord. If the teacher released the arrow, nothing would be learned, and this was not just in the martial arts. Confucius said, "I am not going to go on with the fellow who does not respond by lifting up 3 corners when I have already lifted up 1. This was the teaching method of the men of old. In this way, the students were sure to be serious, whether in scholarship or in the martial arts. Nowadays, people are shallow, and their resolution is not in earnest. They dislike the strenuous and love the easy from the time they are young. When they see something vaguely clever, they want to learn it right away. But if taught in the manner of the old ways, they think it not worth learning. Nowadays, the way is revealed by the instructor. The deepest principles are taught even to beginners. The end result is set right out in front, and the student is led along by the hand. Even with methods like these, students become bored and many of them quit. In this way, talking about principles takes the high seat. The men of old are considered inadequate. Mastery becomes watered down, and students only make efforts in things that might have them climb to new heights. This is again the spirit of the times. Instructing a man is like training a horse. Simply suppress the chi that goes in a distorted way, and you aid the horse to improve its correct chi on its own. And don't be oppressive. The demon continued. When your mind resides in technique, chi overflows and will not be integrated. This could be called following the branch and neglecting the stem. But to say that you should not train yourself with complete abandon is also incorrect. Technique is the function of swordsmanship. If you toss that function aside, how will the very essence of principle be manifested? If you are enlightened to that essence or true character by training function, but how will the very essence of principle be manifested? Right. You are enlightened to that essence or true character by training function. Becoming enlightened to that essence, you will function with complete freedom. Essence and function are of one origin, are not distinct, and have no interval between them at all. You may suddenly be enlightened to principle, but if your practice of technique is immature, your chi will congeal, and form will have no freedom. Technique is given life by principle. What is without form is the basis of what has form. Thus, it is the order of things that technique is trained by means of chi, and that chi is trained by means of the mind. Nevertheless, when your practice of technique is mature, you control your chi and settle your spirit. A boatman grasps the pole and runs along the gunwale, is that? And to him, it is just like running along a broad road. How has he become so resourceful? Moreover, when his practice is mature concerning being in the water, he will know how not to perish even if he is drawn into a flood. This is because his spirit is settled and he has complete freedom. The woodcutter shoulders his heavy load of kindling and walks along a narrow trail. The tile master climbs up to the top of a tower and lays out his tiles. In all these cases, the practice of technique is mature. There are no doubts and no fears. Thus, the spirit is settled and there is complete freedom. Swordsmanship is exactly like this. So when your practice of this art is mature, when it has deeply penetrated your mind, when you have tried your hand at your techniques and there are neither doubts nor fears, your chi will be vital, your spirit will be settled, and your practical application will go through its changes with complete freedom and without obstacle. Getting to this point, however, is a matter of training your chi and coming to know these things on your own. This is what you can rely on. Thus, you may discuss the matter by means of words, but the man who responds naturally, the man who comes without form and goes without a trace, and who has that unexpected mysterious function, has the state of no mind. So, though you may think that the essence of mind might be passed unconsciously, there is actually nothing to receive. You may ask, but there is no one who ought to know. There is actually nothing to receive. You may ask, but there is no one who ought to know, and the instructor has nothing to pass on to you. You may ask, but there is no one who ought to know, and the instructor has nothing to pass on to you. It's the translations, and also the terse, telegraphic nature of the language. Anyway, let me carry on. You can only make great efforts in self-discipline and obtain it naturally. The instructor just points out the path. He cannot talk about it easily. Thus, it is rare in this world.